Hello, everybody. The camera is just a tad bit too high for my liking. Game 4 in the preseason is over for the Montreal Canadiens. They are officially 4-0-0 thus far. I know it's really nothing to go on about since it's preseason, and it really won't matter once regular season starts. But I promise to come here live and give you my notes and my opinion on the hockey game that just ensued. The Montreal Canadiens beat the Ottawa Senators, who were also undefeated until tonight. And I just got to say, my apologies if you can hear outside. It's kind of, I'm not sure if you can see, it's kind of 28 degrees in here. Thankfully, it does not say 85. It's 28 degrees in here. And I had to wear this jersey for the review, as I always do. It's hot as a bitch in here, so I have to have that door open. I could put on a fan, but I don't know where my fan is. So, yeah, outdoor noises may be interfering with my review. I hope not. We're just going to get into my review and thoughts on the game. So, first off, I want to point out that Tatar, Danault, and Suzuki looked very, very well throughout this game. They played very well together. It even led to 2 goals from that line. Sadly, Suzuki does not get a goal. He's the only one on that line does not bat in a goal tonight. But Tatar, Danault, and Suzuki, moving Suzuki to the wing was probably a good choice. Not if you want him as a goal scorer, but more if you want him as arguably some type of setup man. Though with Suzuki, we will get to a point on him in just a bit. The Ottawa crowd looked miserable. 6 minutes in, it looked to be 10,000 max in the arena. I don't know if it was just what I was seeing, but it looked like they were even barricading, or they even put like a drape over some sections that didn't have any tickets sold. But it was not a very big crowd in Ottawa, probably because it's just preseason, maybe because the owner's an incompetent dick, but we'll see in the regular season. Kinkaid did not face many shots early on. The Habs did quite well. They were dominating on the shot counter, which would probably explain the shutout for Keith Kinkaid, but we'll get to that in a bit. Weiss was the only player I had my eye on that wasn't too great. He was probably the weakest Hab, but then again, when you're a fourth-line grinder and you're just meant to hit, you're not going to have that good of a job on the team anyways. Kel Fleury, he did quite well tonight. I had my eye on Fleury quite a bit during this game. He did quite well for himself. And, of course, I have to mention my boy, Wes McCauley, was reffing this game. I love Wes McCauley. He's one of my favorite. He's probably my favorite official in the game of hockey right now. The fact he was reffing this game just made me so much more excited for this game. Kinkaid, whenever the Senators were shooting at the net, they seemed to get a couple rebounds in a row. And Kinkaid was stopping everything in front of him, at least in the first period, just from the shots there. I wrote this in the third period. Kinkaid was just playing super well. I think I wrote Kinkaid playing insane after the 2 stops in a row that were like just on the goal line, just about on the goal line. Kinkaid very well. I think if he keeps playing this way, he can steal a couple starts away from Price. I know he's projected to play 20 games because they want to relieve Price of a couple games, but I don't know. I still feel as though he could play 30 to 35 games with the way he plays. Not to mention if Caden Primo also comes up for a couple games. The Habs took 4 penalties in the first period. It's not good at all, aside from the fact that their PK seems to be very, very well. It seems they've improved upon last year. They were playing a little sloppy, which led to these penalties, but thankfully it didn't offset the game at all. The offset, and speaking of offsetting, this is a great segue. The offsetting penalties. There was I want to say it was a double slashing. It was Kotkaniemi and I forget who. I feel like Brady Tkachuk. The offsetting penalties. It did not lead to a 3-on-3, which I find really weird. The offsetting penalties usually are something that I've thought always led to a 3-on-3 when it was a 4-on-4. But that was just a little something to note. It was 4-on-4 at that point. The offsetting penalties would have made it 3-on-3, but I guess they didn't. As I said, the first was a little sloppy, but the second was looking much better. And especially because Petry would open the scoring with a power play goal. Armia and Mule with the assists. The Habs looking very, very well with the power play goal, finally getting a power play goal in the preseason. And then Anderson robbing Nick Suzuki. Suzuki had a very, very good chance. I want to say it was a couple minutes after Petry's goal. But Anderson just robbed Suzuki, and it was glorious. Like, honestly, I hate the Senators, but that was a pretty good save. Anderson has still got it. And then Anderson made me kind of hate him. No calls, or he had several trippings that should have been called, and also a roughing on the Senators that should have been called, but it wasn't for some reason. I don't get why it wasn't called, but then again, the refs have always been incompetent and missed plays, really. I even noticed the play on the Habs where they tripped up one of the Senators. I was like, really? That's not getting called? Or at least in the second period, I saw one of those. Also, you can probably see my sweat glistening because it is hot as shit in here. Habs controlled the second. They outshot the Senators 14-1 with 4:30 left. If you're the Senators, that's unacceptable. You cannot allow 14 shots. They're lucky Craig Anderson was playing incredibly well tonight and only allowed one goal on those shots. Because if it was any other goalie, and this was probably in the regular season, it'd be 3-4-0 by this point in the period. But, yeah. And then Jake Evans scored after a very bad turnover by Craig Anderson. Riley Barber gets the puck after Anderson tries to shoot it out, but it hits the back of the net. Riley Barber picks it up, gets it to Jake Evans, who scores his second goal of the preseason. Jake Evans is looking quite well. He had a very, very good game for himself. I'm really impressed with Jake Evans. I feel he should be called up at some point in the season. It was a near one-goal game, except for the fact that Keith Kinkaid got bumped into. There would have been a goal, but yeah, Kinkaid got bumped into, and we'll get into something a little more related to that in just a minute. I was not a fan of Deckard starting in the third for the Sens, and I put, but it should mean Habs win, and it clearly did, but not in the way I thought it would. Craig Anderson, I thought, was playing very, very well, and he should have played the majority of this game. If anything, Dackel should have just gotten, the last 5-10 minutes. If it was clear, okay, Habs are winning, send Deckard in, he'll get the loss, we'll give him some experience, or some more experience since he's already played in the NHL. But nah, they decided to just to play him for the whole third, and it arguably worked out well for them. Evans was slammed into the board. There was no call for tripping, which is what should have been called, because that's what it was. It was a tripping that led to him slamming into the boards. A lot of missed calls here that I'm finding, but then again, this is preseason. It won't matter in a week and a half. Tomas Tatar on the power play makes it 3-0 with an amazing setup by himself, Riley, and Suzuki. Suzuki, he did very well standing in front of the net, making sure Deckard, I'm going to call him Deckard, making sure Deckard could not see the puck coming to the net. He tried to make the save anyways, but he really could not. Tomas Tatar on the power play, 2 power play goals for the Habs, makes it 3-0. Jake Evans stepping up defending Kinkaid after he gets run down by Brady Tkachuk. Brady Tkachuk, I find, is someone who, yes, he can be a pest. He can be a bit of a Brad Marchand, Milan Lucic type player if you want to go there. But I think he has the talent to be able to show up whenever he wants to be talented. Of course, he wasn't too into this game, as in scoring points. Obviously, you can tell by the 4-0 shutout by Montreal. But he was very much involved in this game. He was involved. By the way, thank you to the one person who liked the stream. I'll see if I can. Okay, yes, I do have to point up here. Thank you for the one person who left a like on my screen. But yeah, Jake Evans stepping up, defending Kinkaid after Tkachuk runs him over. I really think Jake Evans should get the call up for at least 9 games in the season at the start of the season. Give him some experience, send him down. Unless he does very well, keep him up. The sort of thing happened with Kotkaniemi last season. People thought they were going to give him the 9 games, send him down. They didn't. It ended up working for the better. Kotkaniemi did quite well last year. And hopefully he won't have the sophomore jinx, which, knock on wood, hopefully that's not the case. It was a 4-0 game after that due to a deflection in front. Three power play goals for the Montreal Canadiens. Danault gets the goal from Petry and Armia. It was 2 goals, 39 seconds apart, I believe it said. Tkachuk did get the penalty for goaltender interference. It took, I believe it said 5 or 6 seconds for the goal to happen. Danault won the faceoff. Petry passed it to Armia, who passed it back to Petry. Wrist shot, and Danault got the tip in front. Danault was credited with the goal, at least last time I saw. The game literally just ended when I started this live stream. This video. But yeah, 2 goals, 39 seconds apart, 2 PP goals, that close, and 3 in general for the Montreal Canadiens in this. That's the final game. That's the final goal. The game was getting quite physical midway through the third after the Tkachuk hit on Kinkaid, and I kind of like that. It shows the young players are starting to get a little gritty. They want the game, or they want to fight and show, hey, we can be gritty too. Dale Weiss, you suck, old man. But really though, with the game getting physical, that was quite interesting because it was mostly the young guns. You didn't see Weiss and Tatar, those veterans getting involved. It was mostly the young players, which I love seeing because it shows they really want to fight. Julian Plenty, Shutout had some solid hits. Yeah, he did. Shutout had some very good hits. Shutout is impressing me as a Montreal Canadien. As a Jet, I thought that he was. I thought that as a Winnipeg Jet, he also played quite well. So having him with the Habs now, I think is really, really interesting. He's going to lay the body a lot. I think he's going to get a bunch of assists, some goals here and there probably. He seems to be a decent goal scorer from what I saw of him in Winnipeg. Ben Shutout was definitely looking quite well in the game tonight. Thank you for the comment, Julian Planti. The Habs were playing quite conservatively in the final minutes. They had the 4-goal lead. They didn't need to rush up and try and make the score 5 or 6-0. They just played back. They're like, okay, all right, let's just control the puck a little. They ended up having some sloppy giveaways or takeaways, excuse me. Giveaways, sorry. They ended up having some sloppy giveaways, I found. I want to say the shots by the end of the third were 14-8 for the Habs. I want to say it was at the end of the third. So therefore, I don't believe I wrote it. Kinkaid with the 27 save shutout. Kinkaid is really impressing me this season. I find that with Keith Kinkaid, he can definitely bring to the Habs what Antti Niemi couldn't bring. Sadly, what Charlie Lindgren couldn't bring. What Caden Primo will probably be able to bring this season if he gets called up, or next season whenever he gets the proper call-up. And he can play the 20-30 games that he needs to in relief of Price to let Price relax and lose fatigue or gain fatigue, whichever is the correct phrasing, and go in and relieve Price of not having to play 70 games in a season like he did because Antti Niemi sucked for us. But with Kinkaid, I think he's really going to steal some starts away from Price, as I mentioned earlier. With Kinkaid, I think he's going to be great. Caden Primo did not face any shots because he didn't get the start. Kinkaid with the 27 save shutout, even though it's just preseason, it's still quite good. Kinkaid getting the 27 save shutout, which means that I think he might get the start in next Saturday in Montreal against the Senators again when they play. It's either I find it could either be Kinkaid or Caden Primo is going to get the start and Kinkaid could be the backup. Big glove saves for sure. Definitely controlling a lot of those rebounds that came in, as I mentioned earlier. The two saves in the second period. Near the end of the first, I believe it was. That were near the goal line. Kinkaid really came through with those big saves, and the big glove saves definitely. A couple of these sloppy giveaways that the Habs allowed. I find with Price and Primo, they might not have saved some of those. I feel Kinkaid tonight was really on his game And if he keeps playing like this, that just means great things for the Habs. If they keep the power play going, scoring 3 goals, obviously not getting 3 power play goals a game, but scoring on every couple power play chances, they could be great. If they keep scoring shorthanded goals like they were, there are now three shorthanded goals in 4 games. That will definitely be great if they get 3 shorthanded goals for every 4 games, but obviously that's not going to happen, sadly. I think Weiss gets sent down for sure. Weiss gets sent down. That's the only one I can really think of right now after this game that's like, all right, yeah, you just go to the minors. Jake Evans should be called up. Suzuki definitely needs the call up. Suzuki, I think, could definitely be a great player for the Habs this season if he does get the call up. Poehling being out with a concussion. I did not mention this because it was kind of it wasn't involved with the game, but Ryan Poehling with a concussion, I think, can be scary for the Habs. It depends how long he's out for. If it's revealed it was just like a very, very minor concussion and he'll be back next game, I think that's perfect. But if it's a long term, and by long term I mean longer than a couple weeks, that spells trouble for the Montreal Canadiens because Poehling was supposed to get the call up after the 4 goals in the final game of the season. The final game of the season. I think Poehling, if Poehling is out for an extended period of time, that definitely hurts the Habs goal scoring. If Poehling is able to keep up with the stature that he's been, obviously he wouldn't be getting 4 goals a game, but a goal every couple games would really help the Habs. Suzuki is elite. I have to agree with you, Julian Planty. Suzuki is looking fantastic. I'm so happy we got him in the Tomas Tatar trade. He is looking NHL ready, just like Poehling is. Suzuki, I really hope he gets the call up. If Suzuki gets that call up, I'm expecting to see at least a good 30 points out of him this season. I'm expecting Kotkaniemi numbers. Obviously, Kotkaniemi came in with a lot of hype around him. To some, he disappointed. To me, he did just fine with the 40, 50 points he got. But of course, though, Suzuki, I wouldn't be surprised if he does only play the 9 games and gets sent down. But I would be opposed to him getting sent down rather than someone like Weiss or even Thompson. I would definitely take a Suzuki over a Thompson, even though Thompson has been solid. He's been good. The 2 games he played this preseason, I believe it was 2 games. I haven't seen any send downs to the AHL just yet. But I'm sure after this game there will be a couple. After the next game there will be a couple. Up until the start of the season, I think there will be a lot of send downs, and I think Weiss, Thompson are going to be some. What I find interesting, I don't believe Arturi Lehtinen has played aside from that 1 game where he scored. I want to say it was the first game against Florida. Arturi Lehtinen has not played much, so I don't know if he's injured and the Habs aren't revealing anything, or if they're just deciding not to play him, because we know Price has played 2 games, Domi's only played 1, Gallagher's only played 1, and they're the guys that it's like, okay, 100% they're making the roster. Are they going to do the same thing with Arturi Lehtinen, or is there just something going on with him where it's like, okay, no, don't put him in the lineup? I personally think it's just that they're just holding him off because they know he'll make the lineup. I went through all my notes. I'm going to stay for another minute or so, a couple minutes, and talk with the chat if anyone has anything to say. Julian, you seem to be very commentative on the game. I love that. I love my interactions with the chat. If you got anything to mention, just let me know, and I'd love to talk for a few more minutes about the Habs game, and then sign off. Just because I'm expected somewhere in a little bit. And by in a little bit, I mean about 10 minutes. So, but yeah, to anyone who is watching the video of this later, I'm going to stay for a couple minutes. If you're able to see the live chat, hopefully you are able to comment what you think of the Habs game yourself. If you thought that the Habs played very well, like I did, if you think they weren't playing as solid as they have been in the other games, and the goaltending was really the only reason they weren't shining a lot in those games, despite the fact I have to leave. Thanks for the stream. You're very welcome, Julian. I appreciate you coming around Hopefully you liked what you saw. If you did, please subscribe. I will be live after every Habs game or every Habs game that I can. I'm pretty sure the hometown hockey in Chateauguay in February, I believe February 2nd or 8th. That's the only game I won't be here live right after the game. I'll probably be live an hour or two after that game. But aside from that, every game I should be live right after the game. I might try and do a live reaction during the game itself at some point. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments what you think. So yeah, that's going to do it, guys. Thank you for watching. Do for not. I have no idea my mouth is extremely dry right now. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, favorite, share, anything which includes, but is not limited to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and everything else. My name is Harry Rice. Subscribe to join the Puff Club today. My name is Harry Rice. Thank you for watching, and I am out. Peace.